Happy Friday, or should I say Thursday, because you guys have no school tomorrow. Today is Thursday, but it's kind of like a Friday because you will have another long weekend. Before we head off to our weekend, we are going to spend one more day talking about Action Jackson, but instead of just answering questions about the text, we will have something a little bit more fun to do today while we practice summarizing. So you might be thinking about, what does it mean to summarize, or what is a summary? So if you guys look at this poster here that we will see again, a summary is a brief or short recap of the most important parts of the text. So today we're going to practice summarizing or writing a summary about Action Jackson. We're going to think about, if I had to tell this story again, what are the most important parts, and how can I put it into my own words? Good readers summarize before, during, and after they read. So anytime you're reading, even before and even after, you should be thinking about the summary. What are the most important parts of the story, and how can I put them in my own words? The reason that we practice summarizing, just like you guys can see, is for these three big reasons. They help you remember. When somebody asks you, what did you read about today? And you go, we're not going to do that anymore because we're going to summarize to help us remember those most important parts. We also want to know, when we moved from chapter to chapter or from section to section in the text, we want to think about, well, what happened before that was important that is going to help me understand this next part? So not only do we want to remember so we can tell it again, we also want to remember what was important about what we already read to help us understand the next part when we read. And you also want to be able to talk about what you read with other readers or other people that you want to share your knowledge with. And summarizing is a great way to do that because it helps us talk about those important parts of the text. So now I'm going to show you how to summarize. You might be thinking, but yay, I want to do it already. Hang on. We are going to read, and while we read, you have to gather important information. That is what we did all this week while we were practicing the main idea. When you thought about the topic, who or what is this page mostly about, and those supporting details, to think about, what does the author want me to learn about the topic? When you combined those things, you found the main idea of the page. So while you're reading, you can practice those same steps that we learned this week to gather important information as you read. You also want to make sure that you pause and ask yourself, is this important enough to be part of the summary, or is it just a part I like? Sometimes it can be really hard to figure out, I don't know if this is important enough to include as the summary. That's okay, I'm going to teach you how in just a second. And then after you figure out what are the most important parts, I don't want the part that's interesting to me, I just need the part that's most important, so if I were to tell this again to someone, it makes sense, then you're going to write it in your own words. And I'm going to show you how in just a second.